if we go back before the 8 senators caved in, at least the Democratic Party on the surface was saying we're unified. We don't want to betray and abandon those 22 million people who cannot possibly afford medical care when the whole point was to do that. Well, there should have been rallies across the country. Obama should have been called out of retirement to lead a demonstration in Washington with people marching in from every corner of the country talking about what it means to quote you, Brian, that in the richest country, or nowadays one of the richer countries in the world, doesn't take care of its people when most of the other rich one or all of them do. It is outstandingly that would have given the Democratic Party a place in our culture it could be proud of, precisely because people don't know. But when you watch this for as many years as I have, you have to come to the conclusion, which I think you also mentioned, but I want to reinforce. The Republican and the Democratic Party, they are reproducing the status quo. Leaving the mass of people fuzzy is a way of doing that. So, a few years you have a Republican, and then a few years you have a Democrat, and then a few years, and a marginal dissatisfaction glows one, but nobody gets all bent out of shape because it doesn't really matter that much. Or to be more accurate, it's really only the people at the very bottom to whom it most matters. And you don't want to get them involved because who knows where their demands might end or not end. And so you kind of, in my judgment, these are all signs of an economic system and a political system that is in decline. The thing that no Republican and no Democrat, to my knowledge, is able or willing to take responsibility for. What do we do in a society and an empire that's in decline? How do you handle a decline? Because if you don't do it explicitly, here's how it always works out unless the people intervene. Those at the top, the richest and the most powerful, are in a position to make sure that the decline of the empire and the decline of the economy don't hurt them. They're holding on to theirs, which means those of us who don't have dominant power and who don't have dominant wealth, we got to pick up all of the decline, all of the loss. That's why this rich country, and who's rich? Look at the stock market. They're rich, right? But in case you don't know, the 10% richest Americans own 85% of the shares. So when the market does well, it's telling you the economy is good for the 10%. But when your visit to the supermarket tells you it is not good for you, that's not a mistake on your part. That's a correct understanding. And here's something I say to my fellow working class people. If we don't mobilize and organize to change how this decline goes, we're gonna pay for most of it. And the people giving us good advice from the top don't know what we're talking about. Those senators and congresspeople, if my information is correct, may have shut down the government, but their salaries keep getting paid. Okay, it's a small thing, but there it is. None of them has the whatever to stand up and say, wait a minute. Instead of carving out a few exemptions, if we really mean that we can't agree, then everybody has to be put into that basket. And let's talk about what that might mean.